Hello and welcome back to my leather workshop. I'm Lois and today I'm going to show you a few different devices for holding your leather work while you do your stitching. There's a few different types of things you can use, and obviously cost comes into it. Because I'm doing leather work all the time, I use this clam, which is basically some steam bent wood with a little footrest on the bottom. Now they're called clams rather than clamps because it's from the Old English word, and because it's like a very old piece of equipment, traditional, we've kept the traditional name, so it's called clam. A bit like a sea creature, it's basically something that closes up like that under sort of spring tension. So this is a really good one. You basically put your feet on there, then you've got your knees that can hold it steady, and then you put your piece of leather work in the top here. So that leaves both your hands free for the stitching work. You can tension it a little bit more by twisting this butterfly nut as well, but mainly your knees are going to hold it quite tightly anyway. So there's my piece of leather work, and then I would begin to punch the holes with the awl and pass the stitching through, leaving both hands free. But if you just want to have a go at leather work, this is quite an investment. I'm not quite sure how much they are, but they're close, up to about £100. You know, maybe you can pay even more. So if you just want to try something out, you won't want to invest that kind of money in it. So that's something if you decide it's a craft for you and you want to put a bit more of your spare cash into it. Second to that is something called a stitching pony. Or this is called a clam as well, but some people call it a stitching pony. And basically you put your legs on here, which I shall gracefully demonstrate now. You put your legs on there. So that's basically taking the place of squeezing the original clam between your knees. And then you put your leather work in here, and then you twist up the butterfly kip to hold your piece of work. It's not as efficient as the steam bent clam because you've got to, instead of just releasing tension on your knees and being able to move the piece of leather, you've actually got to undo this and then move it around and then tighten it up. If you are going to use one of these, you can use a clamp, one of these hand clamps, and just put this on it, and that will hold it tight. And then for a quick release, you can just take that off, move your piece of leather around, and then put that back on again, which saves a lot of time fiddling with this. This is like an entry-level stitching pony, so it's not made of the best materials. It's got quite a cheap and cheerful nut and screw on there, but it does the job. It does the job. It basically arrives flat and you screw the base on. This was supplied with the screws, but again they're quite cheap screws, so I've put some in that are a little bit more robust. Perfectly adequate, and I've used that on some of the little courses that I've run for people to have a go on. Third idea is something you might have hanging around in your garage. Is basically two pieces of plywood. Put it between your knees. Get two clamps, or one would probably do, and just grasp the leather between, and then you can get on with your stitching. If this was a little bit longer, say down to the floor, I could then hold it with my feet as well and my knees, just to get less wiggle on when I'm stitching. But yeah, you can improvise. Don't think that any craft is out of your reach financially, because you can just make things up and just see if you like it, and then as time goes on, invest in some better equipment. We've been lucky enough actually to pick up a couple of these steam bent clams in second-hand shops, and a lot of the time they don't actually know what they are and don't know that actually they're quite sought after, and I think I picked up one for a tenner, so I was very happy that day. Down the bottom, I forgot to say, there's a little hole, and you basically just cut a piece of branch wood, that's a bit of hazel I think, and you put that through to sit your feet on. and then that makes it easier to transport as well, because you can just take that out and transport it flat like that if you're going to shows, as we do. Also, you could use a vise that you might have in your shed or your garage, or your neighbour might have one that you could use. What I've done before is you just take a little bit of scrap leather and put that over the hard metal jaws, and you can wind it up tight around your leatherwork without damaging it at all. And it's a very simple and effective way of getting an extra pair of hands to hold the leatherwork for you. So that's everything I've got to say about the clam, which I think is a superb piece of equipment and essential for your leatherwork journey. If you'd like to see some more films, then subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment if you need to know any other information. But thanks for watching.